Hey YouTube, I'm bringing you my first of two battles with my opponent there, the 666 La Abuel, or however you say that, LTN. I'm sure I didn't pronounce it right. Anyway, this is my first of two battles with him on the Savoy Hilltop map. I'll introduce you to our armies. Both these battles are 1v1. I've been fighting quite a few team battles, but decided to do some 1v1 because it's generally my favorite. But I do enjoy the team battles a lot. But I think you all like this because these are going to be more quick-paced type battles, kind of like Rome Total War. I have 3 units of Grenzers. I have 1 unit of Archduke Charles Legion. I have 1 unit of the 1st Regiment Emperor's Own. And then I think it's 7 units of Hungarian Fusilier. My general is right here. It's Karl Schwarzenberg. I have 2 units of Hungarian Hussars, and I have 4 units of Uhlans. Let's go check out my opponent's army in a hurry, because we hurried. The key of this map is to rush this hill and these choke points, and to try and get a good vantage point. So my opponent right here has 6 units of Chasseurs à Cheval, which is mounted skirmishers, and his idea here is to add a lot of firepower to his army, and a more mobile arm to his infantry. Very good idea, I thought, especially for this map. My opponent has tons of great infantry. He's got Polish Legion. I want to say he has 3 units of Old Guard. He has, I think, 3 units of Voltigeur skirmishers, because skirmishing is not going to be his main priority. Now, seeing his Chasseurs à Cheval slightly out of position, I want to charge them immediately and kind of help not give his give them the best ability to fire into my men. And they do kill a decent number of my horses, but I know that my horses are going to be better in a charge and also in the melee fight. So here's the huge cavalry battle that ensues. My opponent has the hill advantage. My cav are, I think, a little bit superior in the melee, like I said, and I'm also using my general in the vicinity to inspire my troops. And here I'm going to actually use him for a little bit of cavalry hammer and anvil. So here's my general being brave and charging into battle. So my opponent decides to pull out of the cavalry fight and make a run for my skirmish line, which is also fine with me. I'm going to let his cavalry run down here. I'm going to form a bunch of my infantry into squares, and his cavalry that's coming down the hill is going to get hammered. Now let's take a look at the choke point. I took this lower choke point before my opponent, and my opponent tried to take it back, but I think that was a bad move. So my Grenzers are absolutely shredding this unit of Polish Legion, and there's another unit of Polish Legion here, and I've already killed 1 unit of Voltigeurs there, I think. So it was not smart of my opponent to battle for the choke point. And here's his cavalry that's run down the hill. They're being pursued by my cavalry and being shot at by my line infantry. But one last thing I want to do with my cavalry before they all die is I want to charge it into his advancing infantry, regardless of whether he forms squares. If he forms squares, I don't really care. I'm just going to leave my cavalry there, and I'm going to disrupt him for as long as possible until I get my men in position. So this is a suicide mission for my cavalry, and they've done a great job so far in this battle. They defeated the enemy cavalry and allowed me to have the time that I need to position my infantry. So sometimes using cavalry goes beyond just the normal idea of what you might have for cavalry. It's very good for allowing your troops to have a chance to position properly. So I now control the lower choke point, and I'm going to gain good control of this upper choke point, and my opponent is going to be bottlenecked. So I've forced him into a bottleneck. Now, let me say I love playing these 2 games with this opponent, because I thought he was a pretty skilled player, and I liked his bold attacking style. You can also see his general back here is Napoleon Bonaparte, so he brought the best of the best. So his army is not going to break easily, and I think that's part of his strategy. His strategy involved the quick rush with the cavalry, plus the extra firepower to harass your flanks, and the typical player doesn't bring too much cavalry to a game, and so that would have given him a decisive advantage in the cavalry. And you can also see that his troops are running away, so I'm going to pursue them through the lower choke point, and then I'm going to move up and around and completely surround his men. So as you can see here, his men can't spread out very well because I've got them bottlenecked up here. There's a group of rocks up here that's going to keep them from being able to spread out too well. And like I said, that was my cavalry. They put him in a position to bottleneck him. Now he is putting his skirmishers behind his line. I think he's going to take a few casualties, but you can see that they're on higher ground and they probably can't shoot over the tops of his men's head. So now my opponent has to do a costly repositioning right in front of my line, and I need this time because although my Hungarian Fusiliers are great quality, they are no match for Old Guard, and my opponent has 3 or 4 units of Old Guard. But in order to try and level the playing field, because his Old Guard will win this fight if I just stand here and fight, I'm going to take my Archduke Charles Legion, which is one of my elite infantry units, and you might think this sounds insane, and I guess it kind of is, but I'm going to charge uphill in a melee against his Old Guard. So here comes my Archduke Charles Legion, and their job is going to be kind of like that of cavalry. They're just going to come up here as a distractor unit, and a unit that, of course this is the slowest charge in military history I think I've ever seen. I guess I forgot to double click. There we go. So here I am charging that Old Guard unit in melee. You can see that there is a brutal fight ensuing. I'm taking high casualties because his infantry is more powerful statistically. Got tripped up on the tongue there. Now one of my Ulan units regrouped, and I am going to use that to some effect, although not great effect. Now let's take a look at my flanking force. My opponent has finally quit running away up here on the top because he can't run anywhere else. Although I have to say it was probably smart of him to run away rather than to stay there and just get slaughtered in the bottleneck. So I'm going to send some of my troops forward on a melee rush, and then I'm going to leave some of my troops back so that my opponent will definitely get wasted in this fight. But my troops are quite tired from running, and so they are going to be suffering morale shock from that. Let's go take a look at Napoleon Bonaparte. Here he charged my Ulans in the woods, and let's see if he survives that. So here is the French general's unit. Let's see if we can find Napoleon himself. Haven't seen him yet. Wherever he is, he just died. So I was trying to catch him there, but we didn't get to find him. That's not him. I know he wears a gray coat. There he is. There's the Emperor right there, laying dead on the ground. Poor Napoleon.
Our men are running, sir.
Anyway, so that was the fate of Napoleon in this battle, and now that he's dead, you can see that that's having a morale effect on his men. Plus, my elite Archduke Charles Legion has been running some fantastic interference on his troops. So now his men are making kind of a last stand, and I'm just going to keep up my tactics. And as you can see, this is another unit of Old Guard, and then another unit of Old Guard. My opponent had a lot of Old Guard, and you can see some of the devastating effects that Old Guard had. As you can see that my men suffered a high number of casualties. But now his men are completely surrounded from the front and the rear, and not even the Old Guard is going to stay in that kind of a fight. So I hope you enjoyed this first match. It was quite late at night when I fought this, and my opponent said, how about a rematch? And to be honest, I wasn't too thrilled about the idea, not because I didn't like playing the game with him, but because it was very late. And but I decided to go ahead and rematch him because he was a good opponent, and I thought it was the polite thing to do. And I wasn't sure whether he wanted to rematch me with the exact same army or not. So I decided, though, in my second match to bring a little bit of something different, and of course I will introduce you to that when we get there. Now here's my general, Karl Schwarzenberg, duking it out with these Voltigeur skirmishers.
Glorious victory, sir, is soon to be yours.
And of course now all the French troops have routed. You can see that they were completely surrounded here in the end. I'm probably killing quite a few of my own men with this kind of tactic, but since the battle's over, it's okay. Alright, so this battle's over. Let's get to the credits. You can see that was a pretty fierce and fast battle. That's the type of battle you should expect on a map like Savoy Hilltop. And it's, I think it's just a one-player map. Boy, it'd be cramped trying to do that in two-player. And by the way, the rules in this particular 2 matches that we played were max 2 artillery pieces. You can see that neither one of us opted to bring artillery in this particular battle. So here's the results screen. It was a hard-fought fight. I, however, brought a lot more troops than my opponent, and that's what helped me win the battle, because you can see that he killed almost as many men as I did. And I didn't have any particular units that had an outstanding number of kills in this match. Alright, so let's get to the next match. Alright, here we are back for the second battle. I'm playing as Great Britain, which you won't see me do too often. And I have 2 units of 5-inch howitzers. And so this is going to be my little bit different strategy. So I brought straight up 9 units of foot. No elite units. I have 3 units of rifles for my skirmishers. And my cavalry consists of 2 dragoon guards. So I've brought heavy cavalry. And I have, as my general, Arthur Wellesley, 1st Duke of Wellington. So I was hoping my opponent would bring Napoleon again, so we could have a nice Napoleon versus Duke of Wellington battle. So let's go see what my opponent brings. The battle hasn't yet started, so you can't see his troops here. And my strategy is, I know that his troops are going to be extremely bunched up as they work their way up the hill, and so I brought the 5-inch howitzers, and I'm going to use that to deplete the numbers of his superior line infantry, and that'll help turn the battle in my favor when it comes later, because you saw last time how many losses I took, and this time I didn't bring cavalry to balance the difference. So let's take a look at my opponent's army. He's got 2 Polish legions right there, 2 more Polish legions in back, there's 2 Old Guard, he's got his 6 units of chasseurs à cheval again, his 3 units of voltigeurs, and here is another Old Guard out to the side. So it looks like 4 Polish legion, 3 Old Guard, and 6 chasseurs à cheval, and 3 voltigeurs to recap. And there you can see the devastating effects that my my artillery is going to create early in this battle. Let's take a look at some of the damage as the smoke clears. I got 3 kills in that Old Guard, 2 there. One of his cavalry units lost 3 men, and I think another lost like 8. I'm not sure if I can find them. It was around here somewhere. Anyway, that first shot was a good one. There it was, I think. There was one of the cavalry units that was down to like 37. But anyway, he's still got to run all the way up this hill, and while he does, my howitzers are going to continually fire on his men. Here we go. There goes an Old Guard flying through the air there, if you caught that. I thought that was pretty nice. And then again, check out that devastating shot. That shot was brutal. And here's some of the men getting up after the concussion, thinking, oh my goodness, am I dead? So yeah, one of his Old Guard units is all the way down to 97 already. So that was a danger on this map. He probably should have brought some artillery, just in case I did. But again, he's counting on a rush tactic, which on this particular map, I won't deride him for that. I think that's probably pretty sound. This time he's going to run his cavalry up again, and I cannot go and challenge his cavalry this time head-on, because I only have my 2 units of heavies. And although they might win, I doubt it, although they might win in a straight-up melee fight, his men have their carbines to fire before the fight, so I can't risk it. Now here I'm using my rifles to make sure that I capture this bottom choke point, but this time my opponent is going to be making a smart move of not challenging me for that bottom choke point, as I think he understands that he has inferior skirmishing troops, and so he's not going to push that. So he probably learned that lesson in the last battle. What he is going to do is go hide all 6 units of his cavalry in this forest, and probably hope that I either get concentrated somewhere else, or just forget that they're there. So here's the same forest where Napoleon died last time, and Napoleon right now is up here on a cookout or something in the woods up here. Let's go take a look at the Emperor this time. And just for some trivia or some fun guess, do you think Napoleon is going to die again? There he is. Will the Duke of Wellington be able to kill Napoleon? Or for that matter, even defeat him? Because my opponent did bring a very strong army here. You can see my howitzers still working their magic here on his men. But you shouldn't expect this to lower their morale, because, like I said, he's brought top-notch troops, and he also has Napoleon as his general. So this artillery fire is going to cause quite a bit of damage, but it will not break their morale, like you might expect for someone using a general staff and standard line infantry.